Alright, good evening everyone. I hope everyone is having a good day so far. Do you all have your lab exams and stuff going on now? Okay. So basically my main goal with this session is that like people who are maybe not aware of GSoC or don't know like the process behind like, the application process or like what goes on behind like applying for GSoC and stuff. So I'll be going through a bit of that. But if you've like already tried applying before, you probably already know this sort of stuff. So like whatever I'm going to be saying now won't be anything unique. But I'll also talk about a bit about my experience and like how I went about like applying and like, what I did. So that's something unique I have to offer. So like that might be of help for you, or like I hope that you get to learn something from that. So those are my main goals for this session, I guess. And also like at the end of the session, like feel free to like ask any questions, whatever. Okay, so I'll start with what is GSoC. So GSoC is a 12-year program conducted by Google every year, and the main goal of GSoC is to like bring in new contributors to open source, or at least that's what they claim. That's a lie. Half of these people are like tryhards who have like already done GSoC already, and this is the second time they're applying. So don't take my word for it, but yeah, at least that's what GSoC says. And the main idea of GSoC is that you basically work on like a project under an organization, an open source organization, and like usually there will be like maintainers of the project and stuff who will guide you, and like they're basically sort of like your mentors. They'll like help you throughout the project and stuff. And there are two kinds of projects. There's like a short project and a long project. A short project is like usually 175 hours, and like or like the amount of time you have to put into the project, and a long project is like 300 hours. And like the kind of project depends on like how much work you have to do, like the complexity of the project and stuff. And the best part, there's stipend. So depending on the project you select, you either have like a $1,500 or like $3,000 of stipend for like the entire 3 months. So if you convert that to like rupees, it'll probably come around to be like 1.5 to 2.5 lakhs or something. Yeah, and like last year there were over like 150 open source organizations that like participated in GSoC, and over 1,000 students like got selected. And like I'm not sure how many people actually applied for it. I'm sure like considering the fact that like half of India basically applies for GSoC, I'm sure it's like I don't know, a lakh or something. Anyway, yeah, but like 1,000 students got selected. And okay, to give you this and basic idea what I'm talking about, I have this link here which should take me to IIIT. Cool. Okay, so this is like the organization's page of like GSoC from like last year. So you can like basically scroll through it, you'll like see some organizations which you might recognize and like some which you might not. And there's all kinds of organizations, so like there's like categories and stuff. So like if you're into like machine learning and stuff, okay, apparently there's no AI, cool. Let me just search for it. Okay, so like there are like all sorts of organizations like for machine learning. You have like ML for science, TensorFlow, Julia, or like I don't know if you're into let's say operating systems. You'll find some organizations related to operating system. There's the Linux Foundation, the FreeBSD project, my favorite operating system, Chromium. It's all your like applications you usually use. You might recognize here. There's also there should be development tools. Yeah, GitLab, the GNOME project. So basically, this is what I'm talking about. So like this is sort of the organizations that sort of apply to GSoC, and yeah. Why should I care? That's a good question. So the way I like to think of GSoC is like it's basically like an internship, but like better. Why? Well, first of all, it pays well. In fact, it pays better than, like if you have tried to get an internship as a college student, you know how hard it is to get a good internship that pays well. At best, what you can do is like 10,000 per month or something, but like GSoC like pays you a lot. So like, that's one thing. Yeah, get mentored by actual devs. This is an important one. Usually when you get like an internship, you will be under some random ass, I don't know, like a management CEO who's going to just give you orders. And like, when I want to do an internship, I want to learn something, not do manual labor. So like, in this case, like you will be working with like developers who actually you have been maintaining software for like over 20 years and stuff. And like you'll actually get like experience working with these people, you get to learn a lot. Networking, again, sort of from the same thread, that like, these organizations are like, they're not like, it's not like just the developers and then they just make software. They're like there's a whole like plethora of like people working behind the software, like an entire community, and like you get to actually interact with the community, maybe make some friends which you want to keep around. So like, yeah, get to work in a unique field. This is something I don't think people often think about, but again, like when you go for like an internship, like a regular internship, usually it's like some predefined, fixed sort of fields you'll be working in, like I don't know, web dev or like machine learning or stuff. But when do you ever get to like work on a maybe compiler or maybe an operating system or like all these unique software which you don't otherwise get to work on, and like you also get paid for it. So that's one thing. Flexible times. So usually like with these projects you have like flexible times, like you can usually do this even if you have like college and like exam and stuff. If you inform all of this like to your mentors, they'll usually be understanding of it and they like give you time. So like and usually like in internships, like you'll have like daily stand-ups and stuff, like you have meeting every day. Like these mentors have like better jobs to do, they won't be behind your ass every day. Like they give you time to work, and like usually you only have to give like a weekly report and stuff. I'll get into all that later. Looks good on a resume. I don't think I need to explain this. I think everyone knows that like having GSoC on your resume is pretty good. Yeah, it's all open source. You'll not be working, I don't know, contributing for some proprietary software which like, I don't know, maybe a few people will buy. You'll be working towards like an open source software which like millions of people use. And the prospect that like the software, like you basically get to contribute a big feature and you get to see that feature being merged into the software that you use, and like you see like it'll affect like millions of lives who are like using this software. Like it's like sort of nice to think about it. We're sort of making like, it's like a good impact as opposed to just like working on some proprietary software. How do I get in? Well, I wish I had a short answer to that, but if I'm being honest, I can just give you some basic tips and stuff, like what you can do, what you should be doing, like I guess good practices and stuff. But in my case, I feel like I just got a little lucky, like I had it easier, but still I can like just give you some general tips, I guess. Okay, first thing you should do is like think about your interests, okay? Like analyze where you're at, what do you know, and like what you want out of GSoC. Like in my case, I had some very clear goals, which I'll explain later. But like, for example, like if you're into web dev maybe, and like you can like go through last year's like organizations and go through some of the projects, see like what kind of projects are are available on GSoC, and like if like you find something which you want to apply to, but you don't know the necessary prerequisites or whatever, now is a good time to like start learning. For example, a lot of like open source software might be using Rust, for example, like a Rust is the programming language, and maybe you don't know Rust, so like now is a good time to start learning. So think about your interest, think about what you want out of GSoC, like if you want to learn something new, if you want to just exercise whatever you already learned, just like practice. Yeah. Next is, this is not really necessary, but I would encourage everyone, which is like get into the open source space. What I mean by that is, so I think most of you are already sort of using open source software without even realizing it. But if you aren't, I'd encourage you to maybe start using some open source software and like start maybe, I don't know, recognizing the sort of software you're using which are open source, like in your, like, I don't know, your environment or whatever. And yeah, like you can also like go through the last year projects and like you can sort of join the chat rooms and stuff, like IRC chat and stuff, and like just lurk there, just like see what's going on, what are people talking about and stuff. And like you don't have to actually say anything, you just join the chat room and just see what's going on. And okay, quick poll. How many people here, be honest, how many people here use Linux? Okay. That's a pretty good number. Okay, yeah. You don't have to do this, but like, I encourage like you start using Linux and stuff more. And for Linux, I don't mean like WS, like I mean like native Linux. Because if you're using Linux and stuff, you'll naturally be surrounded by open source software, and like, you know, you need to like be in that space to like sort of appreciate like the software that we're using. So it encourages you to like, as you start using Linux and you start recognizing the sort of open source software you're using. Okay, try contributing. This is easier said than done because, like, at least for me personally, even after I've done like GSoC once, I find it very hard to like start contributing to a project. You like open a project and all you see is like 10,000 files or like, I don't know, a million lines of code, and like you don't even know where to start. So I think I would first like tell you to start like by taking smaller projects. Don't be very ambitious. I did this mistake. I like tried contributing to like a very big project and I failed miserably. So try looking for some smaller projects and like some general tips, like, you know, like if they have issues and stuff, like go through their good first issues. Like that's usually they have issues labeled good first issues, or like newcomers. Like they usually have these labels on issues. So go through those issues, even if they are like not very major changes. It might be that I don't know, fix a typo or something, but it's like it'll get you like start contributing at least. So this is what I would say is that start slow, and like another thing I would encourage is that first of all, okay, these GitHub projects they usually have like readmes and stuff. Do the basic stuff, like go through the readme. They usually have a contributing.md file and stuff. Go through that and like don't just like go into a chat room and just be like, hi, I want to contribute, help. Don't do that, okay? It'll probably piss them off and they probably have answered the same question like 10,000 times. Instead, just like try picking up an issue on your own, like try seeing like what you can do. One thing I would suggest is that like sometimes if you have a big code base, you can just like sort of like test around with the different parts of it, like make some change, see what effect it has, like if it has a UI or something, see what's happening, and like if it has any behavior change, like make these like small changes and see, try understanding on your own like what's going on in the software before you like start barging into chat rooms and like start asking, hey, help. That's not good. Okay, so like another thing is that, so usually when you're contributing, like it's good because like you have some contributions to show, like when you'll be applying for GSoC. But don't, like some organizations are very careful with this sort of thing because like sometimes if you do start contributing early and then during the application you apply to the organization and you're like, oh wait, I've already done these contributions, like they might discourage it. So like I put this link to an issue. So basically, so like Joplin is like another open source project which like, it's basically a note-taking app. Do anything like no Obsidian? Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows Obsidian. But this is like the open source version of that. I don't like it, I still like Obsidian, but still it's open source, okay? So now, during the GSoC period when it started, they put this like issue which says, GSoC has not started yet and we do not know if our application will be selected by Google. So please do not create pull requests for GSoC. We generally do not appreciate these early pull requests. They are time consuming to review because lots of mistakes, and it will help you when you decide to apply. If anything, it will play against you. So don't do it. So sometimes you have to be careful. Don't hope that I'll start contributing to an organization I want to apply. First of all, you don't even know if these organizations will come again, okay? I'll come to that later. But like you only get to know that like after like the organizations have been announced. So don't hope that I'll start contributing now and then the project comes, I would have already have some contributions. So instead contribute because you want to like start learning how to contribute and like get into that space and like, you know, yeah. Okay, so now I just like quickly go over the timeline. Apparently, I didn't know this, I just noticed, but like I think GSoC came with their timeline like today itself, like a new GSoC timeline. So this is the GSoC timeline. I quickly like, go over like like what's necessary. So like usually like around this time like the organizations start applying so that they can appear for GSoC. You don't have to worry about this. The date you need to keep in mind is February 21st. Okay, so this is when the organization list comes out. This is when you have to be like very careful and you have to start like looking for projects and stuff. And I'll tell you, okay wait, yeah, I'll tell you this. It's going to be hectic. Okay, it's going to be very painful. It was at least very painful for me. There are going to be like 100 organizations. There are going to be like 10-15 projects you're interested in. And like each of these projects, you'll have to like clone the project for it, see if you can contribute or not. It's going to be hectic, okay? And like another thing is that during this time, like usually these chat rooms will be full with like other GSoC contributors who also want to like apply. So it's like sort of competitive. Like you have to like fight for your like place at the table. Like everyone will be trying to contribute, and like sometimes like you might not find the right project, you move on to the next project, and like yeah. It's going to be painful, but I'm sure there will be some project which you can find, which you can contribute to. And then like during this time, you have to like try making some contributions. Now like you don't have to make like 10 contributions or something. Like you can start even if you have like 2 or 3 good quality contributions. It's like more than enough. The keyword is quality. Okay, like you can't like have like 10 fixed typos, pull requests, and you get selected. Like, you have to like make some good quality contributions. And from like February, so like March 18th is when like the application period starts. So now, like after you've done some contributions, you've like been in the community for like a while, you've like basically like introduced yourself and stuff. Now you have to start working on an application or like a proposal. So now I'll come to this proposals. So one of the things is that like the kind of proposal that you have to write depends heavily on the kind of project you're applying to. There are some fixed, like I guess, guidelines and stuff which are there which you need to like write a proposal. But like usually these projects have their own dedicated GSoC page, so you have to be on the lookout for that. Go to their like dedicated GSoC page and like you'll have to. They usually have the guidelines and stuff like how you're supposed to write a proposal. But GSoC has their own little like writing a proposal thing, guide. I'll just brush over this. You can read it in your own free time. But yeah. So there's some basic stuff like read all that and like elements of a quality proposal. Most organizations have their own proposal guidelines or templates. You should be extraordinarily careful to conform to these. Most organizations have many proposals to review. Failure to follow these simple instructions is highly likely to land you at the bottom of the heap. Again, like if they usually have these guidelines, and like if you're not careful to follow these, if you have like I don't know some grammatical errors, some spelling mistakes, they won't take the time to like review your application. Like they have like tens and thousands of applications to review. So be careful. Like do the basic necessary requirements which they ask you to, and like the guide like goes on to mention some basic stuff which you need like name, contact, whatever. Synopsis, if the format allows, start the proposal with a short summary designed to convince the reviewer to read the rest of the proposal. Benefits to the community, you have to like make sure that like the GSoC needs to understand like this is something worth like sponsoring and like this has a real world benefit to like the project. So you have to be very clear about that. Deliverables, this is like the kind of like the most important part of the application. Basically, you have to first of all like make like a detailed timeline of what you're going to be doing during the period. Now this is the thing. This is why you need to be like in constant communication with your mentor during this period. Like they're going to be your best friend during this time. Okay, like you have to like communicate everything with them. Don't bother them, but like you have to like start writing an initial draft and like you have to start discussing with them timelines and like how you go about doing the project, because you obviously don't know better. Like you don't know how to start, you don't know what you need to do. So discuss with them what you need to do and discuss like what are the potential deliverables you can give. Deliverables, as the name suggests, are things you can deliver or show, sort of like milestones. So like they need like sort of like a step by step. Okay, from this day to this day I'll be doing this. Yeah. So you have to be in constant communication with your mentors. Bibliographical information, tell a little bit about yourself. like what you have done before, if you have done any past contributions to like other open source software, mention that. Yeah, like talk about like why you want to do GSoC, why this is important to you, stuff like that. Follow the rules, okay. Yeah, and like submit the proposal early. So like, but what I mean by that is like when this period starts, like this application period starts, write like an initial draft. Spend like a week, write the initial draft, send it to your mentor, okay. They're going to usually review your application, tell you what you need, okay. If you're like going to spend like 2 weeks working on your application and send them at the end, they might not even get time to review your application, and you might even end up doing something you didn't want to. So like, write your proposal early, send it to them, and like they'll usually review it and like implement those. And usually you have to do like a back and forth. Like you'll have one draft, second draft, and then finally they'll be happy with it. Even then you'll be good to go. So yeah, this is sort of the basic stuff. You can like go through like the rest of it later in your own time. Okay, so like I said before, like every project has their own dedicated wiki page. I just picked this random one. So Sugar Labs is like another open source project, and they basically make like desktop environments and like for like kids, like for like people who like, you know, like if you have kids and like you have like the desktop environment is designed in such a way that it has a very easy interface, like which are easy on your eyes and stuff. They basically make that, okay. So they have like for example, a dedicated GSoC page, and I want to go to a specific part of this. So like they talk about like other stuff. Yeah, they usually have like a contributing like page and stuff. And okay, so like here, so they have a section about getting help. I'm taking this example because what they mentioned is not specific to this organization. Usually like all these organizations have like similar tools. So yeah, introduce yourself the first time. Talk about the tasks if you want to do it yourself, not because of the contest. Defend your technical decisions without using the contest as a defense. Non-mentors may give good guidance on technical decisions, but bad guidance on, okay, whatever. But okay, this is the part I want to read, okay? This is like, you need to like keep all this stuff in mind. Keep all this stuff in mind when you're like participating. Like, this is not specific to this organization, but I think it's like, this basically summarizes everything like pretty well. So, when we start interacting with you during the application period, we have several ways to see if you are the right fit. Yeah. Yeah, we have several ways to see if you're the right fit, how you compare to our perfect student. You have a GitHub profile with a history of commits, pull requests, and issues in our project, other projects, and personal projects. You're patient to apply every suggestion during a pull request review. You care about the project beyond the specific task you are working on. You care about changes to documentation, tests, releases, issues, etc. The conversation with us is more than the topic you're working on, but flows naturally to any project. So like, don't just go in there and be like, hi, I'm GSoC, give help. Talk to them, like understand like what they're doing, what they're working on, what's going on behind the project, and then you can sort of start asking, by the way, like I was working on this pull request, I need some help. You're able to have a proper technical discussion and understand the values of the discussion itself. Okay, another thing is that you need to have like good communication skills. There's no other way around it. Like, communication is very important during this time. If you are not communicating well with your mentor and stuff, or like if you have like, I don't know, grammatical errors very often in speaking, they won't like you. They're just going to be like, it's like too much work, trying to understand this person. I'm not interested in entertaining them. So this is very important. Communicate everything, and yeah, like it says, have proper technical discussions. You don't just say yes and do something because the mentor says so, okay? If they ask you to do something, you're free to ask them, okay, why do I need to do this? What's the reason behind it? And like, don't just be like, oh, do this. Okay, fine, I'll do this. Like, ask them. If you're interested in a community and follow a code of conduct, okay, you keep working with the community even if you're not accepted. Now, okay, this might be really hard for some people to do because like after you're rejected, like, you feel down and you don't feel like doing anything. But like, there's like a good time to like, now that you got rejected, you have even more time to like prepare for the next year. So you can still continue contributing. It's not like you have to like, they have given up on you or something. You can still contribute. You don't ask for help to write a proposal. That is weird. Usually you're supposed to ask for help for a proposal. I don't know what they mean there, but okay, sure. you don't remain ignorant of a software or what a project does. You always write in public. Okay, another thing, okay? If you are in chat rooms and stuff, don't slide into the DMs of the mentors and stuff and try to raise them up, okay? It's going to fail. They won't like you. Talk in the public chat rooms. It's for everyone. Don't even if it's like a very difficult question to ask in public, feel free to ask it, okay? Don't slide into their DMs and stuff, okay? They won't like it. You work on a project a community needs regardless of a personal interest. You don't just fix issues, but also get involved in other people's work. So this basically summarizes how you the basic etiquette of what you need to do during the project. If you fail to do some of the stuff, they won't like you. They won't take the time to consider your problems and stuff. Okay, this is another random. I won't go through everything. I just put this in here. This is another open source organization. So SageMath is a library to do basically math stuff. I don't know, sort of MATLAB or something, but it's open source. And they also have a dedicated wiki page. I don't think there's anything I need. Yeah, so they have some guidance and proposals and stuff. My point being, go through all the projects, GSoC pages, specific GSoC pages, and see what kind of requirements they need. I've sort of told you what the basic stuff we need for a proposal. In a short while, I'll show you my proposal. I'm not very comfortable sharing it with everyone, but I can just show it here for now, see what I did. I'll come to that in some time. Yeah, this is another link. Topic. It's a Google talking about the do's and don'ts of Google Center of Code. Go through that. Okay. Fine. So now I talk a bit about my experience, just so that I hope you guys can relate to sort of where I was coming about, how I went about doing stuff. So, okay, first thing is, how did I find the right project? In my case, I had very specific interests. So up until now, all I knew was web development. I knew React. That's the only thing I knew. And my basic goal was I am done with React. I've had enough of it. I tried doing an internship. It failed miserably. I know JavaScript, I know Python, I want to learn something new, okay? So that was my basic requirement. And my main goal was sort of contributing to the project. I hope I learned something. It's not just I'm already applying what I know. That was my main goal. And if you don't know already, I basically did my GSoC under the GNOME Foundation. GNOME. And this is GNOME. If you don't know already, whatever you see there, this is GNOME, okay? Whenever people use Linux and when they talk about I use Ubuntu, I use Fedora or whatever, what you see there is not the Linux distribution, it's the desktop environment. And this is the GNOME desktop environment, the most popular desktop environment that exists. And yeah, so basically, yeah. So basically you can choose up to 3 projects for GSoC. And in my case, I tried going through a lot of projects and couldn't quite find what I wanted. Most of them already required you to know something, which is the biggest pitfall, because I did not have enough time to learn it. This is during January and stuff. I did not have enough time to learn anything. But I was already using Linux for over 2 years, and I love GNOME. I absolutely love it, and I already used the apps and stuff. So I was I really want to be part of GNOME. But if you they have a project page, okay? Okay, wait. I said Tamil. Okay. Okay, listen. Okay, anyway. So this was the project page for GSoC, and I sort of went through the projects, and most of the projects was okay, this project is related to the GNOME, so it's requirements, excellent C skills. That's not for me, okay? But I'll come to this later. But basically some of the other projects already require you to know something knowledge of C, GTK. Okay, another thing. Do you all know GTK? Have you heard of GTK? Okay, someone has heard of GTK. Basically, GTK is a framework for writing Linux apps. You can write cross-platform apps, but it's primarily used for Linux. So all of GNOME's app and stuff. In fact, a lot of Linux apps and open source apps use GTK. that's not what I wanted, but okay, sure, I'll go to this specific topic. Yeah. Basically, this GTK is like the framework which they use for like making apps and stuff, and it's primarily written in C. So I didn't know any GTK. All I knew was like JavaScript and React. Like, what the hell was I supposed to do? Like, I had no experience. Okay, but I went through all these projects and I found one specific project which was like make GNOME platforms for Workbench. So Workbench is another application which like GNOME has, and their sort of requirements were, okay, firstly it says this is not a web project. This project is suited for JavaScript developers, but it's about GNOME technologies. This was great for me because I didn't want a web project. I was sick of web. I was done with web development, but I still knew JavaScript and I wanted to use it in some way. So this like was perfect for me. And they have some other requirements. Okay, so the first requirement is the Linux operating system. So like I said before, if you're not already using Linux already, some of the projects which you contributed to might not even build on Linux. Maybe WSL will work, but in this case, like GNOME, like you have to be using GNOME to like make apps for GNOME. So like Linux, they have Linux was like a mandatory requirement, and like even if you go into the chat room, they won't give you help with like installing Linux and stuff. They're like, if you have Linux, okay, otherwise, no, I don't care. Yeah, so like JavaScript, CSS, Git, enthusiasm for design, UI, UX, interesting GNOME platforms, good communication skills. And I was like, hey, I think I have all that. Maybe I should apply to this. So that's how I found my project. So another thing is that okay, like I said, there are a lot of Indians, okay, like way too many, okay, and like sometimes like it can become annoying and like you have to like compete with all these people. One thing you can do is like if you're using Linux already, you're using contributing a project which exclusively requires you to install Linux, you basically weed out like half the competition because like most of them use Windows anyway. So like this was sort of my plan because I was like, okay, if I contribute to this project, like not many people, I can basically weed out like half the number of people like contributing. And another thing was that we will be accepting multiple candidates. So this was another thing. Like, they were accepting multiple candidates, so this increased my chances. So usually projects only select one candidate, but try to look for projects which maybe select multiple candidates. Don't go for it, but like sometimes the project will like specify it. So that's how I sort of found my project. And this Workbench, this is like the project page of Workbench. Basically, it's like a IDE sort of thing. It's basically used to prototype with GTK technologies. Basically, like this Workbench, okay, and you basically like code stuff here and it shows up live there. And same for like beginners and stuff to like learn about GTK. And this was perfect because like part of my project was like learning GTK to like help other people learn GTK. This is like exactly what I wanted. So try finding something which maybe even if you don't know it already, you can learn it during the contribution period. So that's one thing to remember. Okay, and like these two people who are mentors, Sonicus and Andy Holmes, great mentors. I love them. Okay, so now I'll go to my proposal, what I wrote. Okay, so they had this template, and you can see that the sort of reviews, like the mentors there. Yeah, but like this was, they already have a template, and like usually most organizations have a template. So yeah, and basically, I didn't explain it yet, but like basically the project was like, I was supposed to make demos. So they're supposed to be like these short demos showcasing like a GTK widget and stuff. That was my project. And like the goal was like try to cover as many demos as possible. So this project title was like sort of very vague. Like it's usually projects have like a main goal. They're like, okay, implement this feature, implement that feature. My project was basically like make a lot of demos. So it was sort of like vague. So that sort of made it hard for me to create an application. But anyway, yeah. So let's go through some of the stuff. By the way, I'm going through my application and like it's specific to GNOME, but like my point is that like usually most applications will follow a Zoom. Good. Yeah. What I'm trying to show you is that like how you can also write the application similarly, and I hope you can like sort of learn some stuff. This is not a perfect application, but I have no idea. I still think my application was bad, but apparently they liked it. So yeah, I'm just sort of showing what I did. hopefully it will be helpful to you. What application libraries of GNOME will propose, work, modify, or create. Usually most projects have that. So yeah, most of the work will involve additions to workbench library and won't require changes to existing code, whatever. Okay, yeah. What benefits does your proposed book have for GNOME and its community? So, like I showed you the other Sugar Labs page, where they said you have to talk about what benefit it has, how it impacts the community. In my case, they already sort of wrote that here, and I just sort of expanded on that. Okay, so that's what all this is about. I won't go into much detail. This is talking, it's very specific to my project. Might not be helpful. Okay, why are you the right person to work on this project? So this is what I wrote. I believe I'm the right person to work on this project given my technical abilities, which align well with the project's requirements. I have extensive experience with JavaScript and CSS, having worked with frameworks such as React for projects. I have a keen eye for designing UIs and have designed some websites for my college in Figma before. I initially contributed to Workbench with little to no experience of GTK and Blueprint, but over the course of my several contributions and help from the mentors, I managed to pick it up quickly. So you can be honest about where you're at with whatever technology they're using. You don't have to be oh, I already know this, I'm 3 years of experience, whatever. If you didn't know something that much, but you've learned it over the course of your contributions, mention that. Okay, they won't hate you for it. Aside from my technical skills, I possess good communication skills. I try to be clear in my language while also asking questions when there's a need. I'm receptive to feedback and incorporate them in my own work and try to voice ideas and opinions of my own. I'm also a quick learner and work well under pressure. That's a lie, but it doesn't matter. They wouldn't know. You can lie a little bit. How do you plan to achieve the completion of your project? So I just wrote some generic stuff. Constant communication with mentors. I'll make sure the mentors are always kept up to date with the progress in our work. A weekly report can be given to them so that they're always on track. Being transparent about my work is also important so that no one gets a false idea about progress. A well-defined workflow. The progress of the project depends both on the work done by the contributors and our very mentor mentors. The nature of this project relies on the input and review of the mentors. So a workflow that fits both can be chosen. And I want to give an example of what that could look like. And division of work. So in my case, there were 3 contributors, 3 students who were working for on this project. So I just said, okay, division of work, since this project will involve more than one intern working at a time, work can be divided into smaller manageable subtasks that is doable for everyone. Okay. Now, this is sort of the important part. This is where you have to write a detailed, here is a sequence of tasks and subtasks and how long you will estimate it will take you to complete each of them. Highlight important milestones and deliverables. In my case, my project was weird because it's we had to make a lot of demos. How do I I don't know, make that into a timeline or split the work. So I just thought of this thing where I would there are lots of kinds of widgets, okay, so buttons and images and stuff. So I made this sort of table splitting the widgets being okay, type 1, widgets that shouldn't take very long because of straightforward implementation or less methods, properties to cover. Type 2, widgets that are slightly larger but still difficult to implement. So I did this without the consultation of my mentors and they happen to like it. You should probably talk to your mentors, ask them okay, is it a good idea if you split the work in this way, or if I show it in a tabular form in this way. So you can sort of do that again. That's what I think my mentor said here. What is it? Yeah, very good. I'm especially impressed by the detailed time to do. So you happen to like it, even though I didn't consult them before doing this. So, but you can sort of do this sort of thing. Usually other projects will also require you to make mock-ups. So that's even more hectic because you have to each time you have a milestone, you have to maybe make a mock-up or a design Figma thing to show them what it will look like. So yeah, you can do something like this. And okay, and this was the timeline. I arbitrarily made this up. Like I said, I didn't have much time to work on my application, so I just directly applied without having much back and forth with my mentor. But this sort of the timeline, I wrote. So okay, from this date to this date, and then this is the community bonding period. And okay, another thing. like I said before, if you don't have a long vacation and if you have like exams and stuff, mention it, okay? You have to mention it, don't lie about it, it'll bite you in the ass. So like, I was very honest, I was like, okay, initial 2 to 3 days will be busy due to college midterm exams and stuff. And like, okay, from this day, 18 days I'll spend time completing type 2 widgets. So like, yeah, during this entire period I had my end semester exams, so I couldn't do any work. So I just mentioned it here. Less availability due to college end semester exams. Finish any previous and any work left. Just put that in there. And then I had like a 21-day holiday, so I just mentioned that, like I'll complete all type 3 widgets and stuff. And yeah, basically a timeline, showing what kind of work we'll do. And you have to, in the end, I have to mention like, okay, how many total days are you working? So consult about all this with your mentor. They would know better than you about how to go with the project. In my case, my project was sort of straightforward, but also vague. But because I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't know how much I needed to do or like how long I'll be doing this. So yeah. Okay, what are your past experiences with open source? With the open source world as a user and contributor. This is what I was talking about. Like I said earlier, if you're not already in that open source space and like you need to be able to talk about something, okay? So like a lot of organizations like will ask you a question like this, like what is your experience with open source and stuff. So I just mentioned, okay, I've had a great experience with open source as a user. I've been a passionate user of Linux for over 2 years, and I've fallen in love with its ecosystem. And I found Linux to be reliable, powerful, highly customizable, whatever. Okay, and here I mentioned honestly that before this I hadn't done any contributions. Like this was the first project major project I've been contributing to. So I just said, it's the first time contributing to an open source project of this scale. I've made some contributions to my college projects in the past. The prospect of contributing to the open source community and making a difference means a lot to me. I've learned a great deal going into various chat rooms and discussing software with people coming from different backgrounds. And after that, we have to mention the contributions I've done. In my case, I managed to make 6 PRs because like these weren't like as big as like a regular project, like contributions stuff. You don't have to do this many contributions. Like I said before, 3 good quality contributions should be good enough. The keyword is quality. It needs to be good, it needs to be worth mentioning. So I mentioned these contributions here. And if available, please include links to any code you wrote for other open source projects. I hadn't, so I have nothing to mention there. Some previous projects I have done before. And finally, it's asking for other time commitments. So I mentioned that during the time of the internship, I'll be in the middle of my college semester. I'll be having classes Monday to Friday, usually 5 to 9 to 5. Despite this time commitment, I should still be able to work at least 4 hours per day on an average. Be honest about this. Don't promise something more which you can't do. Be honest with them. Usually they'll be accepting of the fact. But apart from this, I will have college exams like mentioned in the timeline before. My mid-semester exams, which will be from blah blah blah, and my end semester exam. Mentioned all the examples. This is sort of how I wrote the proposal. I hope like, this sort of gets you an idea of what you need to do. Like even though it's very specific to my project, a lot of proposals will be similar to this. Yeah, so that's it for proposals, I guess. Okay, I've been talking about demos, so like just to give you an idea, this is what a demo looks like in Workbench. That's another demo, and like I made a lot of demos during my GSoC period. I made like over 30 demos. These look like this. Another thing I worked on was, so basically GNOME also has this documentation viewer called DevHelp, which is supposed to like view documentation and stuff. And part of my project was like making like a better documentation viewer and integrated with Workbench. This documentation viewer basically lets you do documentation of like GNOME libraries and stuff. But it's very outdated, it's written in C and like it's using GTK 3. The latest version of GTK is not GTK 4, which is much better. So I, like as an extra project thing, I worked on a documentation viewer, which looks like this. Looks much better with the GTK 4 and stuff. And apparently a lot of people like this, like the people using like the GNOME users and stuff, and they were craving for a better replacement for DevHelp. So Sony, my mentor, decided to like make it into a standalone app. And so I'll be getting my own little GNOME app. It's called Bibliotheca. That's the app I did. I'm very excited for that. It'll probably release today. Yeah. Oh, another thing that happened was, so apparently GNOME does this thing where they have this annual conference called like GWADEC, the GNOME users and developers European conference, and usually it's for like developers and like long time contributors of GNOME to like attend this conference, get together, talk about GNOME stuff. But apparently they also sponsor GSoC interns to fly over to attend the conference. So I got to attend GWADEC and I got to meet my mentor, which was like sort of like the best thing that would happen to me. Like not just my mentor, I met like a lot of cool people there. I just spent like another 10 hours talking about all the fond memories I have from GWADEC, but I'll keep it short. I also met some other cool people. He's like one of the co-founders of GNOME. So like GNOME was founded by two brothers. He's one of, not two brothers, two friends who were sort of like brothers. This is like one of the co-founders. His name is Federico. Super nice dude. And then this dude, he's like the maintainer of GNOME calendar. I was legit fanboying for him when I went up. I like went up to him to like get a photo. He had no idea who I was, and he was just like, wait, are you sure you want a photo of me? Or do you want me to take a photo of you? Like, no. I want to take a photo with you. I know you, okay? Like I've seen these people in like chat rooms and stuff, but I've seen them in person. It's the best experience ever. Oh yeah, and I met this other like GSoC student. His name is Pedro. Super nice dude. Yeah. Basically, some of these, it's not just GNOME, like a lot of organizations also sponsor their GSoC interns to like fly over to like attend the conferences and stuff. Like I think Debian does it, like a lot of organizations, I think that you should mention it. So yeah, that's another thing. Oh yeah, I also going to present our work, like there at GWADEC, like talk about all that stuff. Yeah, that's it for me. You guys have any questions and stuff? Yes. I guess we'll find out if you have questions. Or like, I'll be here and like just somewhere in campus, come to me with questions. All right.
So guys, I hope you got an understanding of like how big deal of Akshay Warrior is. He's actually here, and yeah, he's only one of the person who got actually selected for our.
Okay, so apparently there's also another person from a college who also got not only selected to GSoC but also GNOME. Like his name is like Kottayam or someone. Like he's like my senior, but like yeah, he's like another person who got into GSoC as well. But no one knows is he here. I don't think he's here. Okay, no one knows where he is. He probably lives under a cave or something like that.
So you guys are, what I'm trying to say is that you guys are very lucky, and who knows, maybe one of you may become like him. So our point was to inspire you, and it's your playground basically. So get your gears up, already heads up. I think next February is application.
Yeah, like the organization.
Yes. So prepare for it well, and good luck. And I hope you enjoyed the session. And fill it up, Akshay. He's a really cool guy, and he will help you with everything you want. So thank you for attending the session. Hope you have a nice day.